Welcome. I'm Harmony Slater, your host of the Finding Harmony podcast. Over the past 20 years, I've taught thousands of yoga teachers and students to explore the intersection between ancient wisdom and modern everyday life, using mind-body practices to heal, awaken, and manifest their dreams from the inside out. This podcast is a sanctuary for those feeling overwhelmed by life's challenges. Are you ready to jump in and discover how these challenges aren't actually in the way, but are the way to finding harmony? Let's invite the magic back in. What might it be like if the diagnosis that was meant to end your life became the very thing that taught you how to truly live? Today's guest knows the answer to this question in an intimate way, because Russell and I are joined by Peter McLaughlin, a certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and the founder of Blue Sky Hypnosis. Peter's path into this work began after receiving a leukemia diagnosis back in 2003. And this was just a moment that forced him to confront mortality and ultimately led him to explore the profound connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit. And today, Peter has helped thousands of people uncover and heal some of the root causes of their emotional suffering through hypnotherapy, trauma resolution, and regression work, as well as subconscious reprogramming. And you can check him out on his YouTube channel. It's called Blue Sky Hypnosis, which has reached millions of viewers worldwide. And we're going to learn all about how hypnosis and hypnotherapy holds the same therapeutic potential for altered states of consciousness as perhaps some psychedelic substances do, because it allows us to go in and access the subconscious mind and uncover some of those hidden patterns, the processes of unresolved experiences and emotions that are buried in the subconscious. And it will help to support our innate ability and capacity to heal by bringing what is in the darkness into the light. And so if you are curious about hypnosis and its benefits and interested in the science behind the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind, and are interested in what might offer a new perspective on what healing can look like, then this conversation is going to invite you to consider that sometimes the doorway to your deepest transformation lies not in trying harder, but in softening and learning to access the wisdom that has been within you all along. So, I love this work. This is the work that I do, not specifically hypnotherapy, but going into the body and uncovering the unconscious emotions, connections, images, hidden patterns, processes, unresolved experiences through the unconscious mind, and the memories, and whatever is being held in the body is also being held in our mental energetic field. So I'm very passionate about this work, and I think that you will be too after listening to Peter's story. So let's jump right on in. Hi, welcome. We're here today.
Welcome to the Finding Harmony podcast. This is your host, Harmony Slater, with your co-host, Russell Case. Every time we do this.
And we're here today for your listening pleasure with Peter McLaughlin. Hello, Peter.
Hello. I was told recently that our ayahuasquero said that I needed an exorcism, which is unnerving. And so you know how to do that.
No.
Peter knows how to get rid of entities.
He has a special meditation. Hypnotism. Okay, so here, let's talk about this. But so you really have so much knowledge and you share so much on your YouTube channel about self-hypnosis and like doing hypnotherapy. But what is the difference, would you say, between hypnotherapy? I'm just jumping into a question before we get into your story.
Sure.
Between
Go any direction you want.
Any direction, okay.
I've heard my story before.
Yeah.
I feel like I could answer this question for Peter.
No, we're asking Peter. What is your impression of the difference between hypnotherapy and meditation?
Same brain state. So if you analyze the brain waves, you would get the exact same brain waves. You probably would get the same brain waves with deep prayer. The difference with hypnosis or hypnotherapy is that you use the state for a positive outcome. So that's really what hypnotists are trained in, is how to use the state to the advantage or benefit of the client.
So it's like active meditation, kind of.
You could think of it that way. Yeah. And typically it's not self-hypnosis, although that is a thing, including something called autosuggestion. Generally speaking, it's a practitioner, the hypnotist, working with a subject or a client and helping them reach that state, and then using that state to help them reach the goals that they want to reach.
Cool.
When I was in undergrad, I think I was 20 years old. At our university, we did a big event and we had a hypnotist come in. And as I was observing the entire event, I had been practicing yoga and meditation at that point, and I was recognizing what they were asking of us. And I found myself just settling right in. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do meditation now. I can see what he's doing. And so I just settled right into the meditation. And then, of course, when they asked people in the audience, if you've been hypnotized, please raise your hand. And I was one of the only people that raised their hands because I wasn't paying any attention to anyone else. Wasn't self-conscious at all. Went up on stage and they did a whole bunch of neat little tricks with me. But I just remember feeling just so much kind of love and benevolence and sort of self-humor about the whole thing. And I was like, this is all very sweet and nice. I'm going to do anything that he wants. And then at the end, my dormitory was in the same building, and I just went upstairs and I just sat on my couch not thinking, which is like the end-all be-all of meditation, is how can you get yourself into a place where you can have 7 seconds of uninterrupted silence, which is, full samadhi. And I think I was there for about an hour and a half, just sitting like I'm really not having any thoughts right now.
He forgot to take you out of the hypnotic state.
It was just phenomenal. And since that time, I've had a very kind of warm feeling in my heart about hypnotism, hypnotherapists. We had a friend on the show, Sarah Miles, who was a hypnotherapist.
That was like 6 years ago.
Nothing I said was untrue.
I know. I'm just saying it was quite a while back.
Back.
If people are like, "What was that episode?"
But I'm very eager to find out how you got yourself into this position. I think we're about the same age. I'm 51. Are you 50 something?
64.
Oh, you don't look it at all. Okay.
Oh,
so
wow. You look amazing.
You look fantastic.
Thank you.
You look younger than me. I thought maybe you were 48. So
me too.
So you're 48 years old. How did you come to be a hypnotherapist, and what started all of that? Like, were you just into magic as a high school kid? Like, what happened?
The first thing I would say is that there's really 2 wings of hypnosis. One is the one you described, which is entertainment. And that really kept hypnosis alive when it otherwise would have died. And then the other side, the side that I occupy, is the side that is trying to help people in a therapeutic kind of way. Mm-hmm. And I would say the earliest seed for me that I didn't realize until a big event happened that I will mention in a few moments, when I was 41, was early on as a kid. My grandfather, I really admired him heavily. He was a World War II veteran. He was an athlete, like a 4-letter athlete in high school. He got a scholarship to college to play football. This is in the 1930s. And he also was very widely read. And he used to quote this man named Émile Coué, who was a famous French hypnotist from the 1920s. Each day in every way, I'm getting better and better. So that was kind of like a seed that got planted when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And when I was 41, I was volunteering to be a firefighter and an EMT in my town in Connecticut. And they had me do an extensive physical. And at the end of the first day of the physical, the doctor said to me, "Wow, you're in really good shape for a 41-year-old. Come back and give blood." I did that, and then the alarm bells went off. And messages were left for me, and I could hear people were kind of breathless. And I finally got someone on the phone, and they said, "We think you have Lyme disease and a rare form of leukemia."
Both
and
at the same time?
Yeah. It took that to get my attention, apparently. That's how I interpret that now. It's like a spiritual 2x4. And over the course of about 3 years of trying to understand what this all meant and how to extend my life, because when I asked them how long I had, they said maybe 10 years. And I had 3 very young children at the time, and the idea of dying and leaving them and leaving my wife was just so scary, and it was just awful. It was just kind of completely unacceptable to me. And when the hematologist oncologist said, we don't know what causes this, we don't know how to cure it, I realized I'm going to have to do this myself. And the more I researched, the more I was drawn into the power the mind has over the body. And then a series of seemingly disconnected events occurred that in a flash, it was clear they all were knitted together. I realized I need to be trained to be a hypnotist. I had already met someone randomly in Connecticut whose sister started a hypnotherapy academy in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that was started by a paramedic, and I was identifying as a first responder, and its focus was on the medical applications of hypnosis. So I called them on a Thursday, and they said, we're starting the class, a new class on Monday. There's 1 spot left. Do you want it? I was like, yep.
Wow.
So on a flight, and that's how I got into it.
New York to Santa Fe. And
Connecticut,
Connecticut,
New York Airport. Yep.
And that must have been like a 6-week course or 2-week course?
It was longer than that. I think it was 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense too. It was 10-hour days, and then we also worked on the weekends with each other, and we did sessions with one of the instructors that we chose to be our hypnotherapist, which was a huge part of the learning, was being on the other side of the equation.
Well,
yeah, that's amazing. But okay, so did you?
Your wife though? Like you left your wife and 3 kids for 2.5 months.
Yeah, she was incredible. We both were sitting there watching The Secret. This was 2006.
Yeah.
halfway through the movie, all these things were coming into my head that had occurred over the previous 3 years after the diagnosis. And I just looked at her and I said, I have to be a hypnotist. And she looked back and she said, yes, you do.
Wow.
So she was incredibly supportive. And I really believe that experience was one of the things that really helped me to save my life.
How did you heal from Lyme disease and leukemia?
Well, it's interesting. When you buy a $40,000 car and they ask you if you want the $800 undercoating, it's like, sure, why not? Like, because compared to the $40,000 or $50,000 car, it's nothing. And I felt that way about the Lyme disease, whatever, compared to leukemia that they're telling me maybe I'll live 10 years.
Yeah.
And I did find my way to this is another one of these synchronicities. I found my way to a naturopathic doctor because the hematologist oncologist had already admitted we don't know what to do. And she was an incredible person, and she really helped me understand healing at a deep, deep level. She used kinesiology or muscle testing. I had gone to her to get a recommendation to go to the school because the school wanted recommendations. And she looked at me and she said, why are you asking me for a recommendation? We later became friends. And I was like, because you're a doctor. And she said, did you know that I was trained as a hypnotist before I became a naturopath? I mean, all these wild, the fabric was just sewn so tightly. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question for you guys? You both seem to know what The Secret is. I haven't actually seen the film or read the book.
What?
I had a kind of idea that it was about the Kabbalah. It was like a layman's Kabbalah. I wasn't sure. Can you tell our audience at home what about The Secret and synchronicity go together for you? So The Secret, at least what I remember of it, I saw it in 2006, was that your mind is incredibly powerful and that it creates your reality. And they used the example I remember of the genie with Aladdin's lamp. And they said, you get anything that you fervently imagine, you put a lot of emotion behind it, just like making a wish, that the subconscious mind is that powerful. And that's where I looked at my wife and I said, oh my God, this is true, how powerful our subconscious minds are. I have to learn how to control mine so that I can extend my life. That was my thought process. Okay, so that does actually have a lot of parallels to the Jewish Kabbalah, because my mom practiced that all through my childhood as a kind of way of manifesting resources that we needed to survive. And so she would imagine, for example, desperately needed $500. And so she would imagine, and she would sit and meditate as, say, in 1979, 1980, she would imagine $500 being in her hand. And what that would look like, it would look like a check. And she would think about all the different ways in which that would manifest. And then it would happen. In like a couple weeks later, like some random return or IRS return or some other thing, and then she was like, oh, here's this $500 check has arrived. And so when I heard about The Secret, I remember thinking, oh, that's like the Kabbalah. And I'm not even sure if the writers are doing it consciously or unconsciously. So
It made a lot of people famous,
oh, yeah.
that movie.
Yeah. And that was I think that was the first time we actually streamed a movie at home and didn't have to go to Blockbuster and rent a movie. I think that was the first thing that we just paid for over the internet and streamed it. That's the other thing I remember about it.
That's so funny.
Wow.
It's very interesting. There's a book, I don't know if you've read it, called The 12 Stages of Healing.
No.
And it talks a lot about this, like how sort of the healing process, and it sounds like you moved very quickly through the first few stages, because a lot of them is sort of like, why did this happen to me? And you feel like a victim and you look for something outside of you to fix you. And that the healing actually doesn't start until you take ownership of the healing process yourself.
Exactly. This sounds very much like, and I can't remember, I think it might be 12 steps or stages of how we respond when somebody close to us dies.
Oh, yeah, the stages of grief. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember clearly going through denial. That was the very first thing. I think I was scoffing. It was like, there's no way that I have Lyme disease and leukemia. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I want to come back and give blood again. I did, and I got the exact same results. And then I remember anger was huge. I remember pounding my steering wheel, being so angry, feeling like it was so unfair.
Mm-hmm.
That's Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Yes, there you go.
5 stages of grief. Yeah.
Yep. So I definitely felt myself moving through some of those.
Yeah.
And the biggest shift was before I went to Santa Fe versus when I came back. And the way I described it to myself and others was before I went there, the leukemia diagnosis was the book of my life. In other words, every thought, every action, every sensation had to run through that prism of, well, you've been diagnosed, and when I came back, it was like, oh, it's just one of these chapters. I've already read it. I can keep going forward.
Wow. Are you completely healed now?
Not by medical standards, not by allopathic medical standards, but my white blood cell count, which is what they use as a measurement, is less than half of what it was when I was diagnosed. And the trend is supposed to, it just gets higher and higher and higher, and then it crowds out red blood cells, and then you die. And I never had to do I never wanted to do any kind of conventional allopathic treatment for it.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Wow. But it's been 27 years?
No, it's been 23 years.
23. Yeah.
Yeah. I was diagnosed in 2003.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So as a hypnotherapist, I think a lot of people feel like maybe it's a bit scary or that it's fake. Would you say those are kind of like the common objections or like fears that people come to you with?
Particularly the first one, particularly the fear, which I've always described hypnosis as like a double-edged sword. So people are fascinated by it because the words and the concepts of hypnosis, hypnotize, and mesmerize have been in our culture since we can remember as children. In every form of communication imaginable, even the lyrics of popular songs. And so it has this fascinating quality, which is valuable because it means that there's an interest. And the other side of that, the other edge of the sword, is the fear, because in that theatrical version of hypnosis, it's always one person, hypnotist, is controlling the other person's subject, who's in a catatonic sleep-like state. They do whatever they're told and they don't remember anything. And when people understand that they go in and out of hypnosis all the time anyway without a hypnotist present, and you're able to explain what those scenarios are like, oh, right, okay, I get it. That makes sense. Okay. And it helps to dispel the fear by bringing some reality into the definition.
So how, Can you tell us a little bit how we go into these states all the time and that we're not aware of?
Yes.
Because I also think we're being hypnotized all the time.
Yeah, we are. We are. And I'll be happy to touch on that too, because I find that fascinating as well. So I'll start with my definition, because there's lots of definitions of hypnosis. Mine is a focused state of concentration where selective thinking is employed. And the reason why, since hundreds of years ago, hypnotists have been using like a swinging watch or something, or a flickering candle flame, it's to narrow the focus of the client or the subject, because that's part of the state. And when you narrow your focus enough, you enter this state that we call hypnosis or trance. When you watch a movie and you're totally absorbed by it, and the movie ends and you're like, that was 2 hours, it felt like it was 20 minutes. That's because you entered that focused state of concentration where selective thinking was employed. In other words, our experience, our beta state of brainwaves of time disappeared. Right? Time, and it just so happens that all of the best experiences of our life, time vanishes, it evaporates, which is one of the laws of the subconscious mind, is that it doesn't have any sense of time. Everything is now, which also happens to mirror the quantum reality. Quantum physicists would tell us that there is no time. Time is an illusion created by a planet rotating on its own axis as it orbits the sun, giving us day and night and the seasons. So when people watch television or a movie, or they read a novel, or they're driving home from work and they're thinking about something in their life, a relationship, something that happened at work, a movie they saw, and they pull into the driveway and they can't remember driving the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, it's not early onset Alzheimer's. They have merely entered a hypnotic state where time does not exist. And pain doesn't exist in that state either. So, a person can be taking a shower and go, how did I get this bruise that's this big on my thigh? Where did that come from? And then they might go, well, I guess it was when I was working on the house 2 days ago, or when I was playing that pickup basketball game. Yeah, okay, great. Why didn't you feel the pain?
You were in a state
because you were in a focused state of concentration, and the pain was actually outside of that tiny diameter of your focus, and therefore, like time, it was not recognized. And this is one of the key understandings that I use when helping people to resolve things in their life. So I really focus in on root cause, and root cause is always a trauma, and the trauma is always in the past. Well, to the subconscious mind, it's not in the past. To the subconscious mind, it's now. And that's why when that person gets triggered, they have a real physiological response as though they were being attacked right now. And you can use that same phenomenon to help them travel into what we call the past, to resolve what happened in its place in time. And when you do that, subconscious mind now no longer views that incident as a clear and present danger. So when the person gets triggered, nothing happens.
You're describing exactly what happens when Harmony and I go into a yoga room and initiate a meditation program. And they're described by the classical yoga sutras of Patanjali of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, where you enter one pointed concentration, it becomes dissolved, and then you, in Samadhi, lose track of time.
Yes, and then as I said before, when you asked what's the difference between meditation and hypnosis, and I said it's what you do as a hypnotist while you're in that state. So what I'm doing with clients is I'm bringing them to various places in order to resolve the old emotional wounds that they've been carrying, that to the subconscious mind is in the present, is now. And this is where what I learned from my naturopath came in so beautifully, because a naturopath, I learned, believes the only reason a person's sick is because they either have environmental toxins in their body, and or they have a lack of the basic building blocks or nutrients that they need. And so I just kind of added on to that and said, well, if you have emotional toxins, it can wreak all kinds of havoc to your body, to your relationships, to your income, to your mental health, everything.
Totally. It's interesting. I do a lot of this work too, like through the somatic sort of embodiment practices of going into like feeling where the fixation is or the pain in the body, and then feeling into the emotional state or whatever images, memories come up. And it is, I mean, from how you're explaining sort of hypnotherapy, kind of a sense of hypnotherapy, and you can follow and trace that imprint all the way back to maybe one of the first memories of having that sensation in the body.
Sure.
And it's typically always related to, you know, a trauma, not necessarily a big T trauma, but something for a child that would be very traumatic.
Yes.
Because for children, what's traumatic isn't, you know, maybe traumatic for an adult, but
It's still totally confusing just to be locked in a room for a half hour.
yeah, right? Like that's quite traumatic for a child, or like different things. And so you can kind of trace it all the way back and then even rewrite the memory or call in like a being of light or some kind of supportive being to help emotionally kind of reset or emotionally respond to the child in that state. And the child's, as you said, still with us and in us. And so that
for sure.
then kind of like heals that wound. Is that the kind of work that you also do?
Very, very much so. I sometimes call it Western shamanism.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I was going to say, do you know anything about journeying and shamanism? Because I feel it's very similar.
Yeah, this same naturopath who was originally trained as a hypnotist, once she became a naturopath, and when I was friends with her, she did training as a shaman. Yeah. And so we would trade sessions with each other. And so I learned from her about shamanism and the whole concept of journeying into the past to recover lost and wounded parts of yourself. Which is really what this is. I mean, we have the language of, say, inner child, which I think my experience of that is it's much bigger because it doesn't have to actually be a child. It could be your 26-year-old self and you're 50. It could be you from a previous lifetime. But it's a part of you that is lost and wounded, who is waiting essentially for you to go back through what we call time and rescue that version of you and then reintegrate with who you are now.
Yeah, so powerful.
I wonder if you could speak more about you come back from Santa Fe with these new skills. I'm still at a loss to understand how you went from this place of learning to 23 years later being in a state of healing, of present healing. And without medical science, how you were able to reduce your white blood cell count. Like, what's going on? What started from that day that allowed your entire nervous system to start to heal itself?
Russell's like, how do you look so young?
That's a great question. And it also informs how I think about my clients. You know, if somebody comes in and they're having trouble sleeping, or they're struggling in their relationship, or they have migraine headaches, or they have tremendous anxiety or anxiety when they're speaking in public, whatever it is, I imagine them as sitting before me with several arrows sticking out of their body, invisible arrows sticking out of their body. And sometimes I even say to them, you know, if you walked into a doctor's office and said, you know, I'm really having trouble sleeping and I've got all this anxiety, and they had 3 physical arrows sticking out of them, the doctor would say, well, why don't we take those arrows out of you and then see how things go?
Can I just stop you for just one second? So what I'm reading about right now in my Singing to Plants book by Stefan Bayer, which is accounts his time in Peru studying ayahuasca, is that the role of the shaman in Peru is to remove magic darts from his patients. And because shamans are constantly shooting darts at other shamans or other people trying to curse them, and your job is to suck them out. So I just think there's a lot of synchronicity there, because we were just discussing the shaman, and you're looking at your patients as being full of magic darts. Very curious.
Yeah, and that each one, in my opinion, represents an old trauma.
Yeah.
A trauma from earlier in this life or a trauma from a past life. The other thing that we sort of jokingly touched on before we went live or recorded is the whole concept of a spiritual entity attachment. So that's another kind of arrow that a person could have in their body, and our paradigm in the West doesn't really recognize that so much. But when a person is able to be free of these things, they often feel a lot better. So that's something else that I also look at for people.
Yeah, I love that. We were just talking about how I was listening to your YouTube video that talks about doing the pendulum work and then clearing any spiritual entities that might be attached to your physical being or your energy being.
What is a spiritual entity?
I'll answer that if you want. But before I do, I want to get back to your question, which was how did I go from that to this?
Yes.
We have too many questions. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm keeping track. I've got a little notepad here. So for me, I think what happened is while I was in Santa Fe, and as I said, we chose one of the instructors to be our hypnotherapist. And I did some really, really deep work, not just with my hypnotherapist instructor, but also working with other students outside of class. I had some unbelievable experiences. And I think that many of these represented removing some of my own emotional traumatic wounds from my own past. And that's why when I came home, certain things had happened. Like I mentioned how the leukemia diagnosis didn't scare me anymore. It wasn't the central book of my life through which everything flowed. It was now just this chapter in the background. And my wife has gotten annoyed with me over the years saying, how come you don't keep working on that? Because your white blood cells, and I was like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, like I totally calmed down about it. And then the other thing was when I came back, I didn't have the anger that I had when I left. And the anger wasn't just with this diagnosis. I had that independent of the diagnosis.
Right.
Like with my little kids, they would do little kid things. And my body would get hijacked. I mean, most of us can understand what that means. Jaw gets locked. Feel like it's a great idea to put my fist through a wall. You know, feel my shoulders coming up by my ears and just. And when I came back, it was gone and it hasn't returned. And that's 20 years ago now, since 2006.
Yeah, what's interesting, like from a scientific perspective, your nervous system reset to a different baseline.
Yep.
So that you have so much more resilience and tolerance to be able to handle day-to-day stress.
Exactly.
Which I think is scientifically very, very helpful from that perspective. But I think energetically or, spiritually is also very interesting to look at that perspective to what you're speaking to is these wounds that we carry spiritually, energetically, emotionally, mentally, kind of accumulate and build up the intensity or the toxicity in some way in our bodies, in our minds, in our energetic field, and decrease our ability to be healthy,
Absolutely. And the other, on the same line that you're talking about, the autonomic nervous system only has two modes. You're either in rest and digest or you're in fight or flight. Sympathetic is fight or flight. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. That's it. Those are the only two choices you have. There is no third. And people who are in chronic stress or they've got that chronically activated sympathetic nervous system, let's think about from a scientific standpoint what's happening, which makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint, and that is all your body's major systems. So your endocrine system, your digestive system, your reproductive system, and in my case, your immune system, is donating or giving energy to the muscles so that you can run or fight. Because when that tiger or leopard is coming at you, you don't need an immune function. You don't need a reproductive function or a digestive, because if you don't survive this, bets are off anyway.
Yeah.
But the difference is that your subconscious does not distinguish between a live attack of a predator coming at you and watching some catastrophe on television.
Yeah. No.
It's the same thing. And
we're getting
everybody
too
knows
many
it.
emails.
Yeah, that's right. Your bills piling up.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I was really struck by, and especially in hindsight, looking back at what was happening mechanically to me the first time that I was hypnotized, is that I was clearly having a kind of vagal response to the work, and I was going into a parasympathetic state. And I wonder if you think about complementary techniques along with hypnotherapy that bring on a vagal stimulation.
Well, sure. I mean, certain songs. I mean, and I can simplify it by saying language.
Yeah.
and tone of voice and nature. You know, I used to do this exercise when I would teach classes about the power of your words. And I would have, you know, a room full of people close their eyes, and I would just say, I just want you to listen to the words that I'm saying. I'm going to give you two-word phrases. Let's do it now. You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, close your eyes. All right, your job is to just listen to these two-word phrases and just let whatever images come into your mind that want to come in, any sounds that want to come in, and any feelings in your body. All right, so the first one is cuddly baby. Cuddly baby. Cuddly baby. All right, now I'm going to do the second one. Black dagger. Black dagger. Black dagger. And open your eyes.
Why'd you leave me with black dagger?
So the first one I started expressing milk. I don't know if you did, but yeah, I had an oxytocin response, and then the second one reminded me of a bad trip I had in 1993. It was uncomfortable.
So how did your body respond to the two phrases?
Yeah,
I was much more alert the second time.
With black dagger.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
alert.
Yeah, like alert for danger.
Yeah, alert.
And the first
alert
one
for
you
danger.
said was like
I started expressing milk. from
yeah,
my
I remember. I
nipples.
heard that.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
couldn't miss it.
yeah, it was like so soft and like, and then the second one was like, ugh!
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you smile.
Yeah, because I like literally felt like I got gut punched.
And did either one of you have any visuals?
Oh no, I didn't.
I did. I like had my son when he was a baby and just like being with him and seeing him and was like, oh, so
And
nice.
were you first person or were you third person watching?
I was first person.
Yeah. Okay. And you had him in your arms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when he was like really small, just like, oh. My
Were there any
baby.
colors?
Yeah, I think it was in color for sure. Yeah. I mean, like kind of like white, like a white blanket, whitish
Yeah.
blue blanket. And just like seeing his cute little face and his skin.
And your body probably responded to that, right? By softening?
Oh, for sure. I was like,
Relaxing.
oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
could feel it for sure.
Okay, so then the
Everything.
contrast with Black Dagger, did you see anything?
Oh, yeah, I saw the black dagger enter my stomach and my solar plexus.
Oh, it was going into you?
Oh, yeah. And I was like,
it was-
why are you doing this to me?
Was that first person or third person?
It was also first person.
Wow, did you feel any pain or any discomfort?
Yeah. That's why I started laughing. I was like, oh, come on.
Was anyone holding the dagger?
No, it was just being shot from a non-person source.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, this is so powerful, right? Like, and I didn't even use my voice to support.
You didn't even use your hypnotic voice.
Well, I didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I do that on
amazing.
purpose to try to keep them the same, to
Yeah,
show people
neutral.
the difference. Because then if you add in the tone, cadence, pitch, volume, timbre, silence of your voice to support what it is you're saying, you can make it even more powerful.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is happening all the time with people's devices and televisions, and in the airport, there's stuff playing on this. You know, like you walk into a room or a shop, and there's always something on
Yeah.
with words
Yeah.
and with tone
Exactly.
behind it.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
are there ways to consciously go into that parasympathetic state? Absolutely. There's so many of them.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say it's
almost
getting
everything.
harder for us because we're bombarded, as I was just saying, with so much media that
Yeah.
we often don't have any control over, in public spaces and so forth.
Yeah, I think we're at a stage in our human evolution where we have to consciously create silence and
non-digital.
non-stimulation time,
Non-digital space.
which is different than, maybe any other time in history where
Oh, I'm sure.
it would have naturally happened. I mean, even when you were growing up, when we were growing up,
In the
being
80s.
bored was normal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
wasn't TV on at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Oh, no.
And even at like,
A car ride was a
noon.
nightmare.
Yeah, it was like
for children.
Yeah, for children.
Yeah. And that was our childhood. Just sitting there looking at cows for hours. Going to the Grand Canyon. Here
and
we go.
It's so different now. I mean, you
weeks
must see it with your kids
of
too,
just staring
right?
out the window.
Well, one of the smartest things we did, and it wasn't my idea, it was my wife's idea, was to get rid of our television when they were born.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
I knew she was right when she said it, because if we tried to hold on to it and watch it, on the down low, children have a bullshit meter, and they'd be like, well, how come you get to watch it? And there's no answer to that.
Yeah.
Because I'm the parent, because I'm the adult. There's no answer to that. So we just got rid of it. And to this day, and they're 28, 26, and 24, to this day, they're not drinkers. They just don't drink. And it wasn't because we told them not to drink. They just don't drink. They don't do drugs. They don't drink. None of them are even on prescribed meds or anything. They don't really like social media. They're kind of throwbacks in a sense.
Yeah.
And my wife and I think that that's in large measure because when they were growing up, there was no television. And we insisted that they go outside every day in Connecticut and upstate New York, regardless of what the weather was doing. Even if it was for like 5 minutes, they had to get dressed, bundled up and go out.
Yeah.
And the big joke in our family is that what would usually happen would be that we'd have to drag them back in like 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Because they were having such a great time.
What gender of children do you have?
Girl in the middle. So boy, girl, boy.
Boy, girl, boy. Wow.
Do you think that like all the work you've done, like did you work with them and do any like hypnosis work and like a lot of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, like hypnotize them to sleep and stuff.
Oh, everything you can imagine. I put my daughter between two chairs, like stiff as a board, like that, parlor trick kind of thing. She's like, oh, I felt like I was so rigid. She wasn't sagging at all. She was just like a brick. And then I got my eldest son to forget his name once. And then my eldest son was my first spiritual hypnosis client. And I will never forget this session. This is a kid at the time, I think he was 8 years old. And he went into a past lifetime where he was in a hunting party and he was a Native American. And they killed a bear and he felt all of this guilt about the bear. And so I said to him, I'll count from 3 down and 1, snap my fingers, and the bear will be there. So bear comes. And I said, just say anything you want to the bear. Tell the bear you're sorry if you want. And so he did. And I said, is the bear speaking back to you? And he said, yes. And I asked him, what did the bear say? 8-year-old boy. And he said, the bear's telling me that when life is given for life, a higher purpose is achieved.
Wow.
8-year-old.
That's amazing.
I was floored. Still am. I still get goosebumps when I tell that story.
That's amazing. Wow. Do you think people are like often scared though? Like, I mean, even just hearing that story, it makes me think of like, are people scared of what they'll remember or what they'll find?
Yes. And the solution to that fear is we identify so heavily with our persona in this life. And yet we live so many lifetimes and each one has its own persona that we really are like actors. In each life, we take on a different role. And just like actors, each role informs the actor. It doesn't define the actor. So when Alan Rickman died, people aren't running around saying, did you see what an asshole he was to Bruce Willis in that first Die Hard movie? What a spit on his grave. No one's saying that.
No.
Because he's an actor. He's portraying a villain in that case. Yeah. And that's what we've done. And even in this life, there are things that we've done that we're not proud of. But that also has the seeds in it of letting go of hubris, letting go of pride, of being able to forgive other people when we recognize the things that we've done. And that's one of the strategies or tactics that I use. If somebody is in a situation where they just don't want to forgive someone, I'll have them ask their spirit guide, did I ever do something similar in any of my lifetimes? And I know what the answer is going to be because we've lived so many lifetimes. Of course it's going to be yeah, you have. Was I forgiven for that? Yes, I was. Okay, do you want to go back and re-experience being forgiven for this? And they might want to. So great, we'll go back and we'll re-experience you being forgiven for, being an executioner or something. And they're very emotional. And then when they come back to present life, it's like, okay, so now how do you feel about forgiving your uncle or your father or your sister or whatever? It's transformed it. How could it not?
Wow.
So much of what you describe sounds like techniques and work that I've seen also in Buddhism. And I wonder if you've ever deliberately pursued study in any kind of Buddhist system?
I haven't. No. I would say most of my work is personally, I don't insist my clients, they have their own belief systems or whatever, but most of my work is informed by a growing Christian faith. Just over the last number of years, I feel like my wife and I went to see Jesus Christ Superstar in 2019 in Buffalo, and I cried the whole way home. And I don't just cry about everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out of my head. Like, it was just so moving.
Yeah.
And what comes into my mind and I'm certainly not a biblical scholar, but even with this forgiveness thing, let those among you without sin cast the first stone. All of that makes sense to me now in a way that it didn't make sense to me 56 years ago when I was in Sunday school. Like, it was just like over my head.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense. I understand what was being taught.
Yeah. But this kind of loving kindness meditation, or putting yourself in imagining yourself in the position of the person who has been hurt in some way. Like, I read about these techniques in Buddhism, and so I wondered if there was a kind of a conscious relation. But I think it's just spiritual evolution. Like, this is what people do when they're learning to love other human beings.
And learning to love themselves, too.
Yeah.
And for me, I find the common phrase that we've all heard when very well-meaning people say, there's nothing you can do about that. It's in the past. You just have to move on. Mm-hmm. And I say, you are the past. That's who you are. Yeah. Because you're a compendium, an amalgam of everything that's ever happened to you and how you interpreted it. Mm-hmm. And until we shift that, it's always going to be the same. Mm-hmm. And the way we shift it is not by specifically changing the past, although there are aspects of that we can do, like forgiveness work, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what we can do is help you change your perspective of the past. Mm-hmm. And the gross change would be, say, moving from a victim into a creator. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful things that anyone ever said to me when I was at the lowest point with this twin diagnosis in that period of time before I went to Santa Fe was, a psychologist said to me, in response to me saying to her, I feel like there's a black cloud following me everywhere. Mm. And she said, what if the cloud is a mirror? Mm-hmm. And it stopped me in my tracks. Mm-hmm. And it was a way of teaching me very subtly the power we all have. And this is where the law of correspondence from the Kabbalion, or it's even in the Bible, as above, so below, as within, so without. Anything that's happening to me on the outside is merely a perfect mirror reflection of what already lives inside of me. Yeah. It's really early description of projection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you spot it, you got it. Right?
If you spot it, you got it. Positive and negative.
Right, exactly. So do I want to keep emanating this anger about how come that guy doesn't have this, and how come that one hasn't had that, and I've been eating organic food, and I've been drinking for 10 years. What's going on?
Yeah.
I want to ask another question. So you're 41. Up to that point, and had you been a paramedic for 20 years? Is that what you had done? Has that been your life work?
No. My wife and I were both actors when we met in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And then when she got pregnant with our eldest, who's now 28, I was in my first Actors Equity contract off-Broadway thing, and I was like, I got to let this go. I can't expect that I'm going to make the kind of money or have the stability I need to have to be a father. So I just dropped it. I just let it go. Wow. And at the same time, my survival job was working on Wall Street, like commission only, where I can make really good money and just kind of come and go as I pleased because I was a decent sales guy. And then after that, I had my own business for a while. When I was diagnosed, I was a consultant on Wall Street 4 days a week. And then 1 day a week, I was building up a security guard business north of the city in Westchester County. And then the consulting business was a block and a half from the Trade Center, So on 9/11, I was headed down to ground zero, basically. And then the following Tuesday, we all went back to work, and it was just a combat zone.
Yeah.
So this was all in the mix with what led up to the diagnoses.
Right. Absolutely. I was in Brooklyn.
That's amazing.
Oh, okay. Where in Brooklyn were you?
Flatbush. I was at Brooklyn College, and I'll grab it for you. 1 second.
That's to show you a painting.
Okay. So yeah, I was doing other things, and the firefighting and EMT was all volunteer, which I did for about 15 years in 2 states.
Wow. Wow. That's so interesting. What a life. So many jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was here on Flatbush Avenue.
Flatbush and what?
I forget the cross street. Something Dutch.
Because I lived off Flatbush for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In Park Slope.
Yeah, that's north of where I was.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would have to go on this bus, like maybe 15 blocks to get to Park Slope.
Oh, gotcha.
So I was here painting on September 11th. I had just arrived at graduate school for my MFA, and this was all blue sky until that morning, and I was finishing this painting up, and then this black cloud appeared over the horizon, and it got really kind of active on the street. It was like there's a lot going on. People are really like talking about stuff, and people would come up and tell me like a plane hit the building, and it was like, oh, that's amazing, wow. And then a second cloud appeared underneath, and there was like a second plane. It's like, well, that's crazy. That's really, people would just wanted to tell me everything. I was getting the news as a play-by-play.
Yep.
And then this second black cloud turned into a white cloud, and someone came up to me, and the building fell down. I was like, I had already painted it white because, like, well, I'm going to change the cloud. I painted it white, and then I just packed everything up, and I went to go home and watch it on TV like everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
I mean, it was one of the things that made me want to be a firefighter was that.
Yeah.
Because we were living in Westchester County, the northern part of Westchester County on 9/11, and 2 of the planes followed the Hudson River down. So they flew within probably less than a mile of our house.
Yeah.
And I came home and I had this thought of what would it be like to know that you're going to die working at a job you hate?
Yeah.
Because I had worked in the trade center for a while.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole thing with, I think it was 343 firemen
Yeah.
dead on the same day. And like,
Yeah.
and the next day they were all out responding to calls. And I just thought, all right, this is something I can do.
And it saved your life.
Yeah, it did. It did. That was an irony for sure. I thought I was going to be rescuing people, and I got rescued by understanding what was going on.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone wants to work with you, how would they go about doing that?
They can just go to my website, which is blueskyhypnosis.com.
Okay. And can you do this work online?
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Right?
And Blue Sky is, again, the Tibetan system for the clearness of mind that happens when all of the vritti and vibration of agitation disappears.
Yeah.
Rigpa, blue sky.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You should look into Tibetan Buddhism. There's going to be
Buddhism
some
might
interesting
be-
correlations.
Sure.
This might be for you, actually, given the number of synchronicities that are in your life.
Yeah.
I feel like your work very much resembles shamanic journeying.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I don't think hypnotist really encapsulates it, but I haven't come up with some other name that people would understand. So,
Blue sky.
Blue Sky.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
yeah, and that came from being in Santa Fe. So after class, I would go up into the mountains and go for a hike on this trail called the Chamisa Trail, which was about an hour. And I remember as I was going up, I was just so blown away by the quality of blue, because I think the atmosphere is thinner. It's higher than Denver.
Yeah.
And the contrast with the trees, with the green of the trees, and then the terracotta color of the trail just really captivated me. And there was one day where there was this, they called it a noetic healing, where they had all 40 of the students being led by one of the instructors in a hypnotic trance, focusing on me and sending specific kinds of medically informed healing to me.
Wow.
And in the class, I'm sitting in the midst of all these classmates, and I can feel this like throbbing inside of this just, I've never had the feeling before or since this, because it went on for like 45 minutes or something. And then after the class, I went on my normal hike, and I felt like I was high. I was skipping, I was singing, I was just spontaneously hugging trees, which I'd never really done before. I just decided to start hugging trees.
Sounds a little high.
It was a lot high. Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
unbelievable. Yeah, I know. It was incredible.
And they were just like visualizing, like
Yes.
sending you
Yep.
like healing light, healing energy. And people can listen to like so many of your what do you call them? Like hypnotic
Tracks.
tracks?
Tracks on my
tracks?
YouTube channel. You're talking about my YouTube channel.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah, I've got like 280 tracks on there.
Yeah,
and,
there's so
and
many.
most of them are designed for people to have some kind of positive experience. So it could be anything from a past life regression to sleeping better, to healing their inner child, to meeting their spirit guide, to recovering after surgery. There's all kinds of different content there, helping a relationship, manifesting wealth and abundance. A lot of the tracks, well, weight loss is actually the biggest.
There is a lot
category.
of weight loss. I
Yeah,
noticed.
There is. Well, and one of the weight loss tracks has 3.5 million views. Another one has 2 million. Another one has 1 million. Another one has just under 1 million. So it obviously resonated with people. And I think part of that is that when people think of hypnotherapy, they think of two things: stop smoking and lose weight.
That's right.
So that's one of the reasons why, I think. And a lot of my tracks are also subliminal, which sort of touches on something you mentioned earlier, which is we're being hypnotized all the time, which is absolutely true. And we never really know if there's subliminal material, in other words, subvisual or subaudible, in the media that we're consuming. And I understand, because I make a lot of this myself, how powerful it is. So the 3.5 million one, it's subliminal. People are writing in thousands of comments about how they've lost all this weight, and they cannot consciously hear the words that I'm speaking because I've masked them with another sound, like waves or rain or music. I know, it's crazy.
That's amazing. I'm going to go find that one.
And that is how powerful our
lose
subconscious mind is.
Yeah, that's incredible. Do you have to like have special DJ skills to make these tracks?
Oh no, you saw me like fumbling around trying to get onto this call. Like,
I feel like it takes like particular special
no,
abilities.
it does not.
No?
And that's what's a little chilling when you realize the kind of power that entities with a lot of money would have and a lot of resources to create any number of things that would affect us on a frequency level, subvisual, subaudible, color, like. And marketers have been using this kind of stuff for years. It's not a mystery why Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King all use the same color scheme.
Yeah.
It's not an accident. It's done to influence the buyers, they call them users, subconsciously.
Or that the cereal boxes, the eyes and all of the little fawns and leprechauns, they're all facing down at the child that's looking up. And so, like, the cereal boxes are all talking to them. Yeah.
A lot of thought goes into this at the subconscious level.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is very much circles back to art, I think. You know, the greatest film directors are using subconscious, subliminal communication all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just breathtaking when you see it, when you actually are able to observe this. Are you guys familiar with It's a Wonderful Life, Jimmy Stewart?
Of course.
Yeah.
We're not young.
In that movie, so he has to take over running the bank, which he doesn't want to do because his father dies kind of unexpectedly. Yeah. Well, the last scene with his father is at his parents' house, and they're sitting around like the dining room table. And his father is sitting in a chair that has these like it's a wing back chair, But this particular wingback has these two features that come out on the side to make his father look like he has wings. And right behind his father on the wall is a framed picture of all these butterflies.
Oh.
It's a foreshadowing of how his father's going through the chrysalis.
Yeah. Wow.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Real
I love
filmmaking.
stuff like that.
Yeah, real
Beautiful.
filming. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like our minds, like so much of our subconscious is in imagery and in metaphor. And I think that's what we forget is that if you want to tap into your subconscious mind, like imagery and metaphor is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And that's the key, I think, to understanding dreams. Because so often before I really was on board with this, I'd wake up and go, that was a weird dream. And then just walk away from it. Mm-hmm. Rather than think about the dream in terms of metaphor and what was the message for me embedded in that metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. Well, I hope that a lot of people look you up and do some work with you because it's amazing. I'm sure they'll be on your YouTube channel for sure. I know I will be. I've already listened to a few.
Oh,
so
that's great. Thank you.
I love them.
Yeah. We'd love to have you back on sometime.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to come back on.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
If you're feeling called into this deeper work, the type of work that really honors not just your physical body, but your energetic being, your emotional and spiritual dimensions, then there's still time to come and find me in Faro, Portugal, July 8th to the 12th. Over these 5 days, we're going to explore what happens when the work of genius frequency, which is connecting to your body, your breath, your energetic field, meets yoga, more specifically the Mysore practice, as well as tools of meditation, pranayama, and chanting. We will be looking at how to reconnect all of these ancient techniques and tools into our breath, our body, and our energetic field, and what happens, the true transformation that happens when you devote 5 days to this very deep, deep, deep work. How you can listen more intimately to the intelligence that's already within you. It's already attempting so very hard to guide you and to speak to you. So if your heart is saying yes, then I would love to welcome you July 8th to the 12th to this beautiful, beautiful 5-day journey with me in Faro, Portugal. You'll find all the details inside the show notes. Let's go. That's it. We've concluded another episode of the Finding Harmony podcast. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work that changes the world, starting with yourself. It truly does make a huge difference. Please make sure you have your automatic downloads turned on wherever you listen so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. I have so much more magic I can't wait to share with you. Lastly, if you're on Instagram, I love connecting and hearing from you. So come on over and say hello at Finding Harmony Podcast. And you can also come say hello to me personally at Harmony Slater Official. Thank you again for being here. I cannot wait to share more with you in our next episode.